Basic Appraisal Principles, page 248, Unit 3, Legal Considerations. After the budget has been determined, assessed values have been established, and class tax rates applied. Each community will then determine a tax extension rate, sometimes called a mill rate. A mill is the equivalent of 1/10 of a penny, or it can be expressed as $1 of tax for every $1,000 of assessed value. For example, a mill is 1/10 of a penny. 1 mill equals 0.001, or $1 of tax for every $1,000 of assessed value. Our subject property is assessed at $100,000. The mill rate in the area is 15 mills. To compute the tax, simply find the number of thousands in the assessed value and then multiply by the mill rate. Here's the formula. $100,000 equals the assessed value. 15 mills equals the mill rate. $100,000 divided by $1,000 equals 100. The property taxes can be calculated in two ways. 100 multiplied by 15 mills equals $1,500 equals property tax, or $100,000 multiplied by 0.015 equals $1,500 equals property tax. This system may be a little confusing, but it is all figured out by the taxing authority. Individual owners simply get a tax bill in the mail stating how much they owe. A special assessment levy occurs when public improvements to the land benefit the value of the real estate. Examples include installation of drinking water lines, sewer lines, street improvements, and so on. In some situations, property owners who do not pay their property taxes might have to forfeit title to the land and improvements to the taxing authority, for instance, the state. Appraiser's perspective. When reporting an appraisal using a Fannie Mae form, such as the 1004 URAR, the appraiser is asked to report the current real estate taxes on the property. In appraisal assignments, real estate taxes should be analyzed to determine whether they seem reasonable when compared to the value of the subject property. This information is also used to assure the lender that the taxes for the subject property have been compared with those of the market. Additionally, special assessments are reported in an appraisal assignment. Special assessments can affect the value of a property and should be clearly documented and explained within the appraisal report. The comparables selected should have similar assessments or adjustments made for the variance if applicable. Page 249. Escheat. One word. Escheat. Escheat. Police power, eminent domain, taxation, and escheat. The acronym is supposed to be PEAT. P is for police power, E is for eminent domain, T is for taxation, and E is for escheat. So far, we have discussed two ways in which the government may acquire private property. If property taxes are not paid, the government may foreclose on the property. Or if the property is needed for a public use, it may be condemned under the power of eminent domain. Another way in which the government sometimes acquires property is escheat. Our system of property ownership requires that all land be owned by someone. If there is no private owner, a piece of land is owned by the government. If property is abandoned, or if a person dies intestate, that is, without leaving a valid will, stating how to dispose of the deceased's property, and without legal heirs, the property reverts to the state. This reversion is called escheat. Private controls. In this chapter, we've been discussing public controls, also known as government-imposed land use controls. Now we're going to move into private controls or restrictions. These restrictions limit the use and development of property and are generally created through private land developers or other government units and include such things as restrictive covenants and easements. These private controls can be placed into two categories, each with its own subcategories. 1. Non-financial encumbrances, which affect the physical real estate. And 2. Financial encumbrances, which affect the title to the real estate. Definition of encumbrance. An encumbrance, which means imperfection, is any claim, right, or interest in property held by someone other than the property owner or another who has the legal right to possess the property, such as a tenant. Any non-possessory interest in property is an encumbrance on the title to the property. Encumbrances are also called cloud on title. The existence of a cloud on title casts doubt on the ability of an owner of real property to convey marketable title to her land, thereby potentially lessening its value. The owner must present evidence to prove the cloud on title has been cleared in order to transfer ownership free of legal uncertainty. Examples of a cloud on title can include an old mortgage or deed with no recording showing that the secured debt was paid off. A failure to properly transfer all interests in the real property, such as mineral rights, to a former owner, a previous deed that was improperly written or signed, an unresolved legal debt or levy by a creditor or a taxing authority, or some other doubtful link in the chain of title. To clear a cloud on title, a process called a quiet title action is used. A quiet title action is a legal process used to eliminate title problems by determining the actual owners of a property and thus quieting any challenges to title. Extra notes: bastard deed, and anybody claim/right, and it's pointing to an encumbrance.